Jody Mosier and Eugene Driscoll from the Valley Independent Sentinel. And this is Navel Gazing, our podcast. We have a special guest with us today, Caitlin Emma.
Hi.
Those are both her names. Emma's her last name, Caitlin's her first name. And she is a fellow with the Connecticut Mirror News Project. I'm saying it wrong. And she's with us this month, January. So that's the unidentified voice in our podcast.
So I thought maybe we would take a second or two. If Caitlin, you could talk about you're not on probation, right? This isn't a work release thing.
No, this is not a work release thing.
Okay.
I'm really happy to be here.
And where were you before this? You're a UConn graduate.
Uh-huh.
And so you got this fellowship to sort of travel in the world of nonprofit media in Connecticut.
Yep. I just spent 6 months at the Connecticut Mirror, and I was supposed to go to the New Haven Independent right after this, but I guess...
But we're that cool.
They decided, to throw me at you guys for a month.
Well, what about
throw
the
you
Valley?
under the bus? Is that what you were saying? No.
So, I mean, how intimidating is it to work with genius at the Valley Indy? You thought I was going to say C.T. Murr. No. But how was you've been here 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Week and a half?
Yeah, 7 days maybe.
Okay.
It's a little intimidating, but I think I've learned a lot so far about the Valley. I knew nothing about the Valley until now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning to move here now? Honestly?
Probably gonna stay out towards Eastern Connecticut where I'm at, but it's a cool area. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then after this, you go to the New Haven Independent.
Yep.
And then fancy schmancy. What's your last stop on the tour of the nonprofits?
WNPR.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have to talk like this.
That would not.
Oh, we started again. All right, sorry. We had technical problems there for a second. So that's Caitlin. She spells her name with a C, and all is right in the world. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about, this is navel gazing, which means it's self-obsessed and self-absorbed and all that. So we can talk about what we want to talk about. The New Haven Register, in a story, I guess, first reported by Paul Bass of the New Haven Independent, is laying off 105 workers.
Press people.
Right. Well, and then you sort of made my point, because when you hear 105 people, you think
reporters.
It's all reporters, or the whole thing's shutting down. But we're not insiders with JRC or Digital First, whatever the name of the company is now. But this is part of their movement or progress towards becoming sort of a 2012 media company.
Mm-hmm.
So when we saw that, we weren't totally shocked.
Well, and I think from the stories I read, this wasn't completely surprising. Like
it had been coming. They had been saying
and
saying and saying. Exactly. And I just thought it's interesting because there's so much going on just here in Connecticut. For whatever reason, I think Connecticut, since 2006, since the internet came on strong when Ned Lamont was running for Senate, and sites like CT News Junkie and the New Haven Independent popped up, and My Left Nutmeg and all that. It's always been sort of kind of a place for trailblazers. And now, you just see it, that just the media landscape in Connecticut, how much it's changed in the last 2 years since we launched. I mean, now there's 1,000,001 patch sites all over the place. You have the Register and the whole former JRC Corporation in Connecticut, which also includes the
Middletown Press, Torrington.
They're doing this whole thing where it's like everyone's making this transition finally to digital, but there's a lot of growing pains that go on, and that part of it is, newspapers have been sort of dying the last decade, and while it sucks that people are losing their job, it's interesting to see the crew over there at the Register really try something radical, because I think that's what I worked in a newsroom and wanted to jump out the window half the time, but unfortunately we were only on the first floor. It didn't make any sense. There's nothing to jump out of. But it was like, you'd sit there and you the whole world's on the internet, and then you'd go into a meeting for 16,000 hours, and we would just talk about the stupid whatever system we were using to type up our stories and how it never worked with the internet and blah blah blah, and it was just maddening. So now there's been this explosion.
Well, you had sort of brought this up before. You had also noticed, and a lot of people are noticing this, is that a lot of the print papers are focusing their print product on long-form investigative journalism, where like their website of it is more breaking news and that sort of.
It seems, yeah, if you definitely look at like the Connecticut Post and Hearst Connecticut Media, I guess that's how
If you
they
couldn't see,
identify
we were all rolling our eyes right there during that silence.
Well, I just feel, we're rolling our eyes because, like, I don't know, I grew up reading the Reporter Dispatch. I didn't grow up reading
Hearst,
Gannett suburban newspapers. That was
like you like to identify with the town that your newspaper's covering.
And maybe I'm old-fashioned that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like, oh yeah, I grew. I don't get why.
I don't understand it either.
Just from a marketing person, I'm no market person, but what is it? Marketeer? Is that what they're called? Marketing, whatever.
They're not
marketing major.
Yeah, I'm not a mouseketeer. But like, why would you identify? I'm with whatever corporation. It's just talk about faceless. But anyway, that's totally beside the point. But they're doing this great thing where, they're really kicking butt in terms of their in-depth stories. They just had a story about sort of the Ansonia football program and the legacy of that program, which generated a lot of comments for us on our Facebook page. So it's almost like the dailies are doing kind of the big stories that used to be traditionally held for Sundays. You would do that on a Sunday. They're doing them like twice a week now, 3 times a week. The Post did that, or Hearst Connecticut Media Group. I don't know if that's the name. Hearst did the whole thing, the Malloy in bed.
They followed Malloy for a year, and that's. We wouldn't have the resources to do that, and people would be going online like, when's the next story? It works in print, like that long form.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a phone, but we're gonna have Caitlin's gonna run off and get that because she has an exclusive story coming about. Apparently, there's a Sasquatch sighting in Shelton. But anyway, so now it's me and Jody, and you know what I mean. It's almost my thought is I'm wondering if you do your big, kind of powerful, in-depth Sunday-like stories 2 or 3 times a week, I wonder at what point do the dailies start think about not publishing on a Monday and a Tuesday and just make that online, cut their print costs, I guess, and then you do the web for, whoever fell into a hole.
Yeah.
And sports is
in
a
Las
whole
Vegas,
other thing.
that's the Sun. That's what they do. I think they publish once a week. Long form, almost like a magazine, but a paper form. And then all week they're publishing breaking news, sports, traffic updates, and like the news that you'd see, like whatever, who's buying what restaurant and opening it up, that sort of thing.
And that was Caitlin's back.
Fail.
Was that just a total nothing?
So no story.
Well, apparently somewhere on the internet, the number to this office is also listed as a paper shredding company.
Oh, okay. We get that in Spooner House a lot.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about the future of journalism. And the whole thing that's going, because the Register is also, they had this big shuffle where they took their former Valley bureau chief, and now she's the head of investigations. So you got both Hearst and the Register have, in the last, 6 weeks or whatever, have totally shifted their focus to do these in-depth stories and produce high-quality journalism, which I think is good for us because it complements what we do, and we're kind of doing the daily grunt journalism. And I still believe that journalism is hugely important, perhaps the most important form of journalism you can do, in my opinion, but I am biased. So it actually creates more opportunity for us, which is amazing. And I think we kind of get into long-form journalism, not by investigations, but we're just here all the time.
Yeah.
And we're able to string. It's almost like we don't need to do a Sunday story that's 70,000 inches.
7 stories on the same topic.
We've done it, and we find different paths that way. So I guess my whole rant here is just to say, like, I can't remember a more exciting time in journalism
That's true.
Than right now, 2012. And it's good for you, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you feel like this is an industry that you can find a job and work a career in?
Maybe not find a job, but
Oh, okay.
I would say I'm lucky, but I've only ever worked for like places like this or internet startups, or I've never worked for somewhere that had a big corporate thing hanging over its head. So I don't know, it's interesting, and I'd like to keep doing that just because I feel like that's where the best journalism is going to come out of from now on. Raise the roof. Raise the roof.
2 people sitting next to me just put their palms in the air and did like. It really doesn't work on a podcast. So people can't see us.
No.
All right, and with that, that's all we got. See you next year.